everyone, I'm here with another journal page. Now this one was supposed to be based on the tag number 6 challenge over on our Facebook group, Art Journal Techniques. However, it didn't work. Now I normally do the tags first, the techniques on the tags. For some reason I decided to do this in a journal page and it didn't work out. So I then did the tag, knowing how to do the image transfer properly. So this is just going to be an art journal page based on nothing. So I'm working in my repurposed book here, and I've applied gesso, and then I've mixed up some white and black to make a grey, and now I'm just rubbing it back with a wet baby wipe. Now there will be a journal page based on the tag number 6 image transfer technique next. So I've taken the brick stamp from the Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Bitty Grunge stamp set, and I inked it up with some grey flannel dye ink and just stamping it around the border. You do see some of it when the page is finished. I don't know from the get-go what is going to be revealed at the end of the page. So I just hope for the best. So I'm taking some pinks. I love pink and grey together. So this is magenta, and I'm just applying it randomly with a plastic card. And now I was going to use the image transfer, and you'll see how I stuffed that up big time. But I get sick of it and I do something different. But what I was going to say is I wanted something on the background first before I started the image transfer. And that's why I'm putting down this paint. So the magenta, this is not magenta, is it? I did magenta first, I thought. This may be Thistle Blossom. Yeah. And then I've got Americana Deco Art Flamingo, and then some Hydrangea Pink by Ceramcoat. And now just rubbing it all back with a wet baby wipe, not removing it all, and I allowed it to dry a bit first. So here's a Fiskars stamp set. This is called the Tartan and Time set, and I love this as a background stamp. And sometimes, or more times than not, I use it with paint, but not this time. I'm using grey flannel Memento ink, just to bring a little bit of that grey back to the inside of the page. Now I'm taking some pink and white and mixing it up, and I thought I'd grab another one of these great background stamps from Fiskars. This is the Harlequin charm set, and so I applied that paint onto the stamp with a palette knife and then stamped it randomly. Now this was a swap that Kathy and I did. We had an image, a stamped image swap, and it was on deli paper, it was on cardstock, it was on book paper, and this was one of those that came with it. So I'm applying some gel medium onto the image that I want transferred to the page. Now that was a bit thick because I also put some on the page as well as the image, and it was way too thick and couldn't dry fast enough for me. So what I'm doing here is applying some text, book text, with just a thin layer of the gel medium to the other side of the page. Hoping that works. I'm just burnishing it there with my fingers. So this was also wrong. I really added the water here and shouldn't have. I should have just dipped my finger into the water and rubbed it, but I still think it was still way too wet because I applied a thick coat of the medium. So I gave up on that, and then I just started dry rubbing the opposite page paper, and it worked so much better. I do end up dipping my finger into some water, so that's the way it should be done. So you can see there how much gel medium is left on that page, and it's still wet. So, hello, Jen. So I'm trying to get rid of it. And instead of doing the image transfer, I just stick down the image right side up onto the page with some gel medium. Actually, that was some matte medium I applied that with. And I went over the top with it as well. So now taking some hydrangea pink and trying to blend those book edges onto the page as best I can. And I'm just using a piece of corrugated cardboard there. So I thought it needed a bit more, so adding some white to that pink mix. And just trying to blend it in. Trying to fix up my stuff-ups. Now, because that left image, you can actually see that it's book text. I needed to incorporate that on the other side as well, sort of all around, so it blended nicely, so it didn't stick out too much. So just adhering those strips with some golden regular gel medium, matte. And then I had to try and blend it in as well. So I mixed up some black and white again, more white than black, to create the grey. So, because I overdid the pink, I think. So I'm taking the mini brick stencil by the Crafters Workshop and sponging over that grey mix around the edges of all those strips and that image that I'd applied. You wait, I'll go and try this technique again on another journal page, and I'll stuff it up again. Alright, so adding some pink and white again, and I go over another stencil with this mix, and this time it's the woodgrain stencil by the Crafters Workshop. And you can see those strips of paper are starting to blend in, so you don't see the edges as much. That's really what I'm trying to do here. Trying to achieve anyway. And this is a mystical water stamp by Stampscapes. I'm just stamping it all over the page with some grey flannel dye ink. And for whatever reason, I decided to add some washi tape because I still had no idea where this page was going to. It just stumped me once I did this. So I actually cut off all those ends and then seal the washi tape with some golden gel medium. And then I walked away from it, left it overnight because I had no idea what I was going to do next. So in the morning I came back in, yeah, it was the next day, and I decided that it needed some circles. So I took a stamp and some various sized lids and took some white paint and started stamping them. Trying not to stamp over that vintage lady image. Now, this was another piece of ephemera that I received from Kathy with our swap. It's gorgeous, actually. So because I thought the head on the left hand image that I applied didn't stand out too well, I thought this may it could sort of be popped out like a bigger version of what her head could be. Anyway, that was my train of thought. So I just took some Nail Colour 2 um, oil pastels, and that was purple. And I went around that circle and activated it with some water and just adhered that face down with some Scotch Quick Dry adhesive. Now I want to go around that and try and blend it into the page again with the grey and pink. So another Nail Colour 2 in grey, and then I go around it in the pink or purple. Looks more like magenta to me. And then I thought I needed some grey on the larger image. Just sort of fanned it out a bit. And now what? It needed a third image, an uneven number. So I punched out this stamped image and decided to attach it to that large circle, just with some Scotch Quick Dry. And again, going around it with the grey and the pink Nail Colour 2s. I think I used the purple. May not have. Can't remember. Just to blur this page. No, I didn't. So I'm just going around all the three circles now with a black portfolio water-soluble oil pastel. Now I took you on a rough ride earlier. They were the Nail Colour 2s are water-soluble wax pastels. The portfolios are oil pastels. Alright, that done. It's finished. I decided I'm just going to put a border around it. So I took a uni pin pen, black, and then ruled a border around, and then taking a Kaisercraft stamp from the Fiesta Aztec stamp set, and I stamped it with some Memento grey dye ink. Just using a piece of paper there to line it up, line the stamp up. And then I thought, well, all it needs now, because I had nowhere, I didn't know where it was going. It had to be finished. So I decided to write the quote in a black uni pen, and then I went over it after I'd done all the quote. I went over it with a thicker pen, and it was a Pentel touch pen, just to give it some shape. I started off using the Unipin pen, and it wasn't working too well because I sort of wrote it within the pastel area, so it wasn't real good for it. Sort of clogged it up a little bit. So I thought it best quick while I'm ahead and use the touch pen. It was thicker, and that's it. Page done, over and done with. Although I am going to do another page with the image transfer technique, and that'll be the next video. Let's hope. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Happy New Year, and I shall see you soon. Bye.